Hey guys, alrighty. Happy Monday. We are officially live here. Just getting a couple things moved over, set up real quick. Alright, so we had on Friday that really nice bounce. Very, very impressive wick. Almost about a 400-point wick on NQ. Over on ES, just about a 100-point wick. So again, very impressive movement. Not too surprised to see some upside today, strictly because obviously when you have such a big bounce like that, you're almost always going to go higher. Right now, we are coming in to a really interesting resistance area. So on ES, we have, I'm going to call it 68.23 to 68.50. That is pretty much the 8 EMA resistance, and then also the double top from last Wednesday and Thursday, all the way up to about their candle bodies. Really anything over 68.50 on ES, and we're likely going to see continuation higher tomorrow. I will be curious to see, in general, where ES and NQ closes, just because, we're still at that point where this could, again, kind of like it was on being Wednesday, where we had that big bounce. This could just be a relief bounce before heading lower. The 50 EMA support was tested on Friday, and that is a big level, so that is a big level that people buy at. So again, the bounce here is not terribly surprising. Now we'll move over to NQ. Right now, on the 15-minute time frame, 25,556 is a really nice resistance. But over in the daily time frame, I have 25,600. That is our daily 8 EMA resistance. So I'm watching that heavily for potential rejection and potential pushback down. However, if we continue higher, and likely if ES heads up to that 68.50 area, then again, I do think about 25, probably 750 to 25,800 is our level to watch. So that's about another 300 points to the upside. With that being said, if we close over 25,800 and 68.50 today, I do think we will see quite a bit of upside continuation tomorrow. So big close to watch. It's interesting. We have a 1% pop on ES and a 1.5% push up on NQ, and VIX is only down 4%. So that's something to watch. Whether they send the VIX much, much lower. If we start seeing the VIX get down 6, 7, 8%, then that's likely going to fuel this upside momentum more. If they start pushing the VIX back up and we can turn the VIX green, then we could see a really impressive failed breakout and sell-off today. So moving over to the 15-minute time frame here, as we're about to open bell in about a minute here. We have built out a really impressive range since about 3:30 this morning, 4 o'clock this morning on ES. This 68.12 to 68.20 area is very, very strong, especially the 68.12 to 68.15 support. Over on NQ, we have 25,511 to 25,556. So again, as you can see, we are just ping-ponging right off these levels right here. In general, we are in an uptrend based on the EMA, so that does give us some favor for a bounce to the upside. However, again, when you take in the daily consideration of where we're at in the rejection zone in the daily, this will be interesting to see where we go here at open. So here we go at open. So today's goal, I am on day 2 of 3 for my FNF accounts. I need pretty much anywhere around like $600 to $800 today for day 2 for my consistency. On my funded futures, if you guys didn't see, I did get that $5,000 payout because of the profit split. It is $4,000. I did get that on Friday. So that was a really nice way to end my week. Great week last week, about 23,000 in payouts. However, now I'm on day 1 of 5 for my funded futures. So those accounts, I actually only need about $100 for the daily minimum account value, essentially. So the strategy this morning is going to be a little different. I'm going to enter everybody with the same 40-point target on NQ like I usually do with my trail and whatnot set up. And then likely you won't be able to see it because I only have one screen up and I can only have one up. But likely I will just start ticking off my funded futures as they go higher and try to just grab like, the $100 to $200 on those as we're pushing. And then, of course, on my fun F&F accounts, I have about 1,200 of drawdown right now. So I will be a little more aggressive with my stop losses and take profits as needed, just to kind of, capture that as we're needed here. So here we go. So we're pushing through right now, 68.20 and 25,556. Again, generally speaking, we were in the uptrend, so the bounce is not too surprising here. I don't see a good play, obviously. The 5-minute closure over 68.20 and 25,556 would be pretty bullish, and I do think there's quite a bit of upside. Man, VX and VIX are getting absolutely slammed right now. VX just hit a big low a day. VIX is about to break through the 18 demand. So again, really strong upside. Of course, you'd like to see some buyers come in here, but as of right now, if this closes the 5-minute over 556, likely we're going to see a nice continuation to the upside here. Right now, as you can see, NQ is a little stronger than ES. ES was trying to hold that 68.20 resistance pretty nicely here, but NQ is really going on a nice surge right now. So again, I think it is very wise with this tight range to wait for a closure over this 556. Hopefully we get a little back test. Here comes our aggressive buyers, so that's strong for the upside. VX VIX dying, so that's strong for the upside. So the long is clearly the play here. But again, with, we already have 323 points of movement on NQ and already 53 points on ES. We got to be careful not to get stopped out and wicked out before the move happens. This is an actually pretty tight, about 40-point range that we were in for about 3 hours, since about 3 a.m. this morning. So that is interesting. But again, we don't want to get stopped out, especially with only about 1,200 of drawdown before the move happens. So just kind of vibing here, being careful. We got about a minute to close. So far, it looks pretty bullish. I would love to see a back test off 556. Point of control is right about 550 or about 548, so we might touch that first. But generally speaking, good potential breakout here. But again, being patient, waiting for this close here. We got about 20 seconds now, and see if we can get in a play here. My upside target would generally be 630 to 644 if this continues to pop to the upside. Okay, so here's our close. We got our good buyers, not sellers, buyers. VX and VIX are coming lower. We cleared 20 and 56 on the 5-minute time frame. I would generally like to see both the 19 level on ES and the 56 level on NQ be retested first. There's a potential it's just going to keep pushing here, but that would not be my A+ play here. it does not appear it is going to give us the back test.
Order submit. Order filled.
Okay, so I went ahead and went long here. I do think we're going to get the big push here. So on my funded futures, I'm pretty much manually setting a 10-point take profit for everybody. So those will go ahead and just hopefully close out, and then we'll see our F&F accounts continue higher. Little pullback here. Again, they might drop it back down, but ES is pushing. We got very aggressive buyers here. VX and VIX are dumping. We cleared the resistance and do not appear to immediately be going into the retest. So that does generally favor that this is just going to continue higher. So I'm content holding here. Again, 25,607 will trigger all my funded futures to exit with their about $150 in profits, and then right now I have 638 for upside for my F&F accounts. So we came about a point short there. It looks like 2 points short so far of where my target is. I don't think we have any data this morning, but I haven't looked. Nope, no data this morning, which is good. Government shutdown still. They apparently are going to reopen at some point this week. We'll see if that actually plays out or not, but that is the word on the street. Okay, coming into target here on my funded futures. Okay, a couple of them closed out.
Target filled.
Okay, all my funded futures accounts are closed with profit goal of 155. Most of them hit 165. So day 1 of 5 hit there, which is great. Looking for my F&F accounts now. Got about a minute to closure here. I do expect this to continue to push. No reason to set. I'm going to let my kind of trail do its thing here. Let's go ahead and set a break even just as protection here and see if we can get our move up to that 638 area. We've got 30 seconds to close. A lot of times you'll see these big moves accelerate into the 5-minute candle closure. Again, 630 and 644 was that upside target. So we're right in that like center area of that upside target here. Setting a little protection. Probably could hold off on the protection and just let it run, but I'm also content with setting protection, and we'll find another play later if we need to. But holding it, not going to close out here. Okay, automatically moved up to a 5-point break even there, so very content with that. So we cleared the 5-minute ORB. That's at 68.25 and 592 area. We could see a retrace back down to that and then push to 644. But again, this is looking very, very strong to the upside. I'm going to go ahead and lock in my 10-point break even here. So I'm up 20 points. Got about 20 points to go. Let's see if we can go ahead and snag her here. Okay, 15-point break even set. So this is a good win either way here. Hopefully we do get the big push. If not, okay, so we're all out here. 15-point profit there. Good win to start the day off. And we will look to execute another win here. So it looks like it might have snagged our break even there. Now it's pushing still. So again, I do think the odds of this 592 ORB support being retested is likely here. So I'm going to hold off on re-entering here. We do have, again, very, very good buyers, very strong VIX drop. So upside is the play. I want to be clear on that. But again, we don't want to get stopped before the move happens. Okay, so it looks like the retrace, especially on ES, is starting to form here. You can see that red double top starting to play out here. So again, I'm very content just kind of holding off here and waiting for a better entry. We did come up just shy of that 630 level I was looking for, though. 628 hit and then rejected. So that's not that was a good target for our upside there. So if we go back in for another play here, which we will because of consistency, I'd like to get one more play here, at least a couple $100. Going to be looking for about 25 points of profit. So again, good buyers. Everything looks strong to the upside. We are kind of just pushing. The best way to describe it is it's like they're building blocks up on the buyers here. So this is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's very justified to the upside here. However, again, if you look at the last 2 5-minute candles, there's been virtually no, at least on NQ, there's been virtually no retrace. And I would certainly like to see a retrace before I re-enter. And that might come in about 40 seconds here when we get our new 15-minute candle. But as of right now, we did hit 630. Looks like 644 is very close to being hit too. And sorry guys if it seems like I'm a little off today. I'm not feeling as great as I usually am today. Just I don't know what is wrong. But so if I'm a little more quiet and just kind of a little more mellow, that's why. So all right, so good closure there. This sets up a really nice double top actually. I do think we could come back down and finally test that 25,592 5-minute ORB and potentially 25,600. I would certainly not be able to justify a continuation of the long here. We just hit 644. That is my target, or my last target I have right now at least. I mean, we do have another target of 747, but I'll be interested to see if they can retrace this here. It's a tough short to justify because you have such aggressive buyers right now and the VIX and VX are dumping. So generally speaking, you'd want to wait for the retest to then go long. But this is setting up for a really, really nice retest lower here. I just don't think it's a good short that I want to take. So I'm sitting cash here, sitting patient. And that's the hard thing about plays like this is if we look at the last two 5-minute candles, there's been virtually no retest or retrace. So basically this could just keep popping and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then eventually we'll see the rejection lower. As of right now, I would say, you know, it looks like it's not actually going to retrace. Also, guys, if you ever see the charts are like off the page, let me know so I can fix that for you guys. The way I have to trade with a different window or look at a different window for my indicators, so I just have this one that you guys are seeing kind of up in the background, so a lot of times I can't actually see if it's off the page or anything like that. I try to look every now and then, but just let me know in the future so that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. I think the retrace is certainly looking better here. That we might see some this might start our downside, and boy is attempting to take it, but I'm not sure if it's the right play. Let's see if we give us about 20 point stop. The buyers have not really weakened either, so that makes it the short much more risky. Price action wise, it's perfect. The double top looks really, really solid, but we still have stronger buyers on 5 and 15 minute, so it's a little bit more risky to take that short. Now you could take it right now with about a 10 point stop loss if you use the high of the 5 and 15 minute candle, but I just don't think it's the A plus play that we want right now. Okay, now we're starting to see a big change here. So there goes our buyers are dropping finally. So again, this looks good to go back down to 592, 625 or 6825 area. It just wasn't quite the setup I wanted to see. Price action wise, you know, again the double top was there, but this very well could have just kept pushing. We just got a big pop on the VIX and VX though too. So let's see how this plays out here. This very well could just lead into a bounce that takes us higher, though. Such as that right there. So as soon as those buyers kind of weakened, they came right back in. The ES 5 and 15 minute double top actually looks a little stronger for downside continuation here. NQ does have a good rejection, but it's not quite there just yet. Again, the odds of a bounce are more favorable than a big downside move here. So I'm just going to be impatient, seeing what sets up for us here. If they take us up to about 25,630 and we don't bounce or push through, well, I was going to say, but we don't push through, that would be a good short, but they went all the way, they decided to go ahead and go back down. So here is our 68.25 and 592 area that we were watching for. Now this is a big bounce spot, so I don't think this is a continuation of the short. I just think this is the retrace that we were looking for. Now, likely we will need to wait for at least a 5, maybe 15 minute double bottom to take a long back to the high day area. So just kind of be impatient here. but this could potentially go as low as 556 and 68.20 though. And there is the start of the bounce. I think it would be wiser to wait for a closure before we go long. But that is the bounce off, I mean, almost perfectly off 5-minute ORB support. So this very well is headed right back to high day. VIX and VX are making a big push up here. This actually might see a really strong move down here. I'm going to go ahead and get in a short. I'm short now. This looks good for the downside. We kind of saw a nice potential to continue higher, but VX and VIX are still pushing. Those buyers never came back in. So this could try to close under 592 and 68.25, and then we're going to look for 564, which is that 15 or 5-minute 20 EMA support here. Big bounce here. So they're trying. We got a minute to close here. See where they close us. Again, I'd like to get under 25 and 592 here for that 68.20 and 556 retest. They might not. I might have got trapped into the short side here, but VIX and VX are kind of making the move. And we didn't get the push higher. I wish I would have gotten short a little earlier, but the downside move is certainly there. So I'm holding. I'm okay. I'm content for now. And where our stop loss is at 25,619. If this pushes through this, likely this is going to just be a bottom anyways, and then it's going to pump really hard. So this is a decent stop out area too. So here we're about to get stopped out. So they barely held us under our stop loss here. See if they go back down. So interesting move there at the close. The long wick does give some favor to the upside, but we closed and we didn't quite break the high there. So we'll see what this happens here. This could continue to push lower, but likely this is going to be a move to the upside. But it's kind of one of those things where if you close, you could save maybe 10 points of stop. But also if you close, you might miss that you actually were right, but they just kind of bounced it first. So again, I'm looking for the move back down to 592 here.
Stop
Okay,
fill.
so they bounced it. Likely that was our bottom. That's okay. And now we start to look for the long. Okay, I'm in the long here.
Order filled.
Ooh, they might have just bear to bull trapped us there. So we had the bounce. You got that long wick, as you can see, that right off the 5-minute ORB support, which generally does favor that we're going higher. And then they did break the previous 5-minute high, so that does set up the upside move. But as you see there, they just tried to kind of sweep a little bit lower. So again, this looks like a nice bounce where we could and should likely head back to that high day area.
Order filled.
Okay, so I went ahead and added a second contract here. This looks good for the upside for sure. So go ahead and set a break even here just in case. Need about 25,650. That would give me my daily profit goal that I'm looking for. I'm going to move up a little bit more aggressive. 5-point stop out. Let's do 10 points now. See if we can get a little pop here. See if we can get that 650. If not, I'll be content with where we're at. There she goes. Come on, give me a little bit more. Setting it tight. Okay, so we got stopped out. Back up 400 bucks on the day. So good little recovery after a loss and good little win there. Again, sorry I'm a little more chill and not talking as much. Again, I guess I'm not feeling my best right now, so just kind of fighting for my life over here is all. Looks like we closed out early. It looks like it would have hit. Again, I like to set the protection. You just never know when you're going to get a big reversal, so... And there is that big slap. So that's why I like to, and you will see me move my protection up quite quickly and quite aggressively sometimes, because you just never know when that big old slap like that's coming in. So that certainly makes it a lot more difficult to get to where we need to be. So sometimes like that, I would rather set a protection, get stopped out early, and then re-enter. So we have an interesting closure here. So I actually like some downside here. We, on ES, did bounce, yes, off 68.25. So I'm going to go back. I'm looking for another about 20 points here. Probably going to take a short. Yep, I'm going to take a short here. So the reason I'm short right here is, as you can see, 5-minute ES. We came up, we tested 68.35, which is the 15-minute ORB resistance, and we had a major rejection. So that's taking us back down to 15-minute 5 EMA support, 68.25. Over here, you can see on VIX, we are pushing up. So that kind of bounce that we had is continuing higher. So that is also obviously bearish. And then when you look over here at NQ, 25,640 is our 15-minute ORB resistance. We closed perfectly at that level as our resistance. We had a major rejection off one of our upside levels of 25,658. So this does open up another opportunity to come back down to likely fit 25,592. Our 5-minute buyers never came back in. And then on NQ 15-minute, our buyers are also trying to fade here. So again, I like the rejection lower off that big wick, especially with whatever big kind of rejection we just had. So we'll see if this can play out for us here. I do like the downside. I kind of obviously wish I would have held our other one just for full profit, but I do think we're going to get a nice little rejection lower here. So I'm up about 405 total realized right now in this account, or these are F&F accounts. So I'm really looking for 20 points of profit to hit my 800 goal. I might just close out a little early. We'll see what this gives us here. I do think 25,603 is likely to be tested here. So I'm content holding. ES is actually trying to look a little stronger than NQ here, which is a little concern for my short. But again, there's not support for the upside from buyers. VIX and VX did get a little rejection here, which I don't love to see. But I do like the flush down to, again, 25,605 area here. ES with a little rejection. If this rejection holds, we should see NQ push further down here too. Got about a minute to closure here. Obviously, as long as this candle in 5-minute NQ is red, we should be good for further downside. If they big pop this for some reason here, then likely they will see a big continuation to the upside. I considered getting out on that downside wick there, but it's tough because the bounces are so aggressive. You can't really get out super fast. So I'm kind of holding. I'm still content with my short. ES is a little worrisome, but I'm okay so far on our short here. Got about 10 seconds to close. So it looks like they are trying to bounce us here. So if they do, this is going to be likely a big breakout. Quite volatile little candles here. Again, it's we didn't quite break out all the way, so I still like the potential to go lower as we were talking about, but VIX and VX are kind of making that difficult here. I almost preferred now to be in a long. Likely going to see this tag us out here. But if you remember, this is also where we got a big slap too. So it's kind of like I was saying earlier on one of those plays where you either hold it and, you know, stay conviction with your trade, and you might just be getting a little bit of drawdown against you, or you close out and then you risk, you know, jumping into the wrong side, and you just, again, we're seeing a little bit of drawdown. So I'm content holding this. I think we got a pretty good stop loss here. I do like a little bit of downside, so I'm gonna hold. You know, we haven't got stopped out yet. Hopefully this will flush back down, like I was saying, to that 605 area.
Stop fill.
All right, so we got stopped out. It does look like they're going to try to push this now, though. VX and VX are coming lower. So let's go ahead and jump, I guess.
Order filled.
Okay, I'll take the long. I'll bite on the long.
Order filled.
If you look over the 15 now, VIX and VX are dumping through their low there, so that obviously is bullish. As we look over at ES, it's bouncing. We are attempting to bounce off now, again, that 15-minute 5 EMA support, so that looks good for the continuation higher here. So I do think this is going to see higher. If we get slapped, we get slapped. I did add a second contract because I do think we're going to get a nice little pop here. I just don't know how high, but we should see likely a new high day here. My total upside I have is 748 is kind of our next level, and 6841. A lot of volatility right here at this level. So we got about a minute to close. See if this can keep pushing up or not. We just had a little bit of a weakness in buyers here. I think this is just a fake out to the downside though. And we're continuing to push up. So again, this is kind of those tough ones. Close out, don't close out, hold your play, don't hold your play. If I wasn't in anything right now, I probably would just not be in a play. But I do have my 20-point stop loss. I am in 2 contracts, so it'll be a little bit bigger of a loss than I'd like to take. But I'm holding for this breakout here. That 647 level really is a big rejection spot here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to move my stop loss up now to about 10-point stop. But we're starting to get that push. This should be our breakout now. Hope got to break through 659, and this should just see a nice clean breakout. Just a little shy on my wick there, on the wick there, I mean. Hopefully she keeps going. She likely will. A little too early to set a break even. But we did break that previous high, so this should see continuation. VX VIX coming down. Buyers are still there. ES is testing that critical 68.35. Lots and lots of volatility here. I'm going to set the break even now because we kind of came down, we retested the low, and then we popped. So that should be our sign that we're going to just continue higher. And if not, I'm okay with getting stopped out because I was in 2 cons there and a little bit more of a loss than I'd like to take. And we're just kind of dying here. So I think it's time to be patient, see where this closes here. Let's see if we can see continuation. Likely we're going to see it probably pop, and I probably will regret setting my break even like that, but I'm also content with holding where I'm at too. Oops. So there you go. You see, there it goes. So yes, as somebody pointed out, I did size up, and the reason for that is, again, tight range. If I can take the risk off and still, you know, be in a good play where I can enter and have a good stop loss with the 2 contracts, I'll do that. Otherwise, yes, I prefer to be in 1. And sometimes, like, I expected that was going to be a big push up based on the 15-minute bounce, so I will go in more aggressively with 2 contracts in that aspect, thinking that it's going to be a quick push. And so, you know, I will justify the 2 cons that way, but sometimes obviously it doesn't work out. So those will be an interesting close. So 68.35 is our 15-minute ORB resistance, and then on NQ you got that 25.640. If we close under that, we could maybe see this finally retrace a little bit lower. Certainly interesting. You know, if you look at the last probably about 7 5-minute or 2 4 6 5-minute candles, they're very, very ugly. And I'm very happy now that we closed that long. So we are rejecting, we got about 30 seconds to close to see if it holds, but we are rejecting off 68.35 15-minute ORB, and now that 25.640 ORB. So this could signal a potential top and a potential rundown lower here. Okay, so now 25.640 is at that rejection level. We are seeing buyers finally weaken on the 15-minute time frame. ES also has a rejection off 68.35. There's a potential attempt to pump to bottom here on VIX and VX, but it's not really there just yet. So there is just not really a super solid setup here, but I do like the downside rejection off the ORB, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna hit the short. Just one con here. See if we can get our big flush here. Again, taking this off the back test off 25,640, which is that 15-minute ORB resistance. Taking it off the double top rejection with the wick. Buyers are weakening. So again, the flush potentially down to at least 592 looks good, but maybe even back down to overnight range of 556 looks good too. I've not had good success this morning with shorts just yet, but the setup is certainly there. So even if this does push up and pushes over 25,640, I would struggle to justify a long, just because buyers have weakened so much, and also, okay, we got stopped out there. Well, oddly, one of my accounts is still in, but everybody else got stopped out. So let's look at this one. This one's still barely in. So again, like I was saying, though, it's hard to justify the upside here because there's really no buyers anymore to support it. And at the same time, you can see that, you know, we are rejecting off this 640 area pretty regularly now. So kind of an ugly, tough setup here where it likely is going to break lower, but it might want to stop everybody out again to the upside first. But at the same time, now I look over at VX and VIX, and it's getting a nice big rejection to the downside. So again, kind of tough technicals here for a good play. See if this one survives or not. I mean, really, I still like the short, honestly. As I say that, it gets a nice little pop here.
Stop build.
So it got stepped out by about 1 point there, it looks like, for our high. Again, you know, it's tough where this is going to go. I still like the downside, but I'm just trying to debate on if it's worth the risk or not of getting stopped out again. Down about 350 now, so.
Order
All right,
filled.
backing on the short. ES looks better. It looks good to the downside. It's about to try to break through its 5 EMA support. So, sorry, that likely is going to see us on NQ also continue lower. You know, looking at the 15-minute time frame, we had the 15-minute double top. We attempted to break through 25,640 ORB resistance and failed. So, you know, we do have a little wick to 464 that rejected. Again, the downside looks good. There's no buyers. VX and VIX are kind of what is really kind of making it tough to, looks like, to keep pushing lower. But every time, you know, I can't justify a long here, but hopefully, you know, this is one of those ones where even though the play looks good, it actually plays out. Because we've seen this a couple times now in this market where these shorts look so good and they make them look good. Stopped out. They make them look so good for hours, and then finally they play them out. Yeah, this is tough here. I mean, one would assume that we are failing to break down, so that probably what means that we're going to continue higher, but we keep rejecting here too. That long with VX and VIX though, this is our big area of rejection, the 660 area here though. Likely if we can get a 5-minute closure over 640 area, likely we will see continuation higher. That area on ES would be 68.31. So currently we got about 400 to 480 bucks left in these accounts. So certainly need to be cautious. That is nice though. It's a full 20 points. So it does give us an A plus setup here or the ability to take a full setup right here and hopefully get in and recover some of these profits. Again, we're in a tough area because we keep wanting to push through this 640 to 660 area, but just like that little slap right there, every time we get here, it just rejects. And there's really not the buyers to push it. So, yes, we're holding EMA support, and it looks like a bull flag, but and VX and VIX look like a bear flag to drop lower. But this is a tough spot right here. Okay, we got about 40 seconds to close here. Let's see where they actually close us here. See if we get maybe get a big run into this close. Okay, 10 seconds. ES and NQ with a nice little move up here. So again, this looks good that we might finally see some continuation to the upside here. All right.
Order submit.
I'll bite on the long. This is going to basically either be a big push up or it's going to see a massive slap. So I'm content to take the risk for my last plays here. This looks good. Again, if this goes, 725 to 748 is kind of our area where we could go to. A little bit more of a rejection here. Real big fight here. We do have buyers still holding. We're holding kind of that low. ES is getting a push now. That 68.35 on ES is the big level. VX and VIX are still falling lower. So again, this looks like a big bull flag breakout on that 15-minute time frame. But we will, right here, this looks like a big breakout, but we'll see what it gives us here. That 660 level, she is holding on for dear life though. I moved that stop loss down just because that's basically the drawdown left in the account. So if she goes, she's going to go. I don't want to get stopped out and have like 50 bucks of drawdown left. That's never conducive for trading. So we got 2 minutes to close here. So far, NQ looks like it's going to break that 15-minute ORB of 25,640. And then over on ES, it is fighting that 68.35. So again, favors the upside. Whether it plays out or not, we'll find out. That 748 area looks good. And then I would say 68.41 on ES. If these accounts get stopped out, that will blow these F&F accounts. My My Fun and Futures are up green on the day though, so that's still, I consider that a win. This would be the third payout in a row on these F&F, so they 1000% serve their purpose. If they do get stopped out, hopefully they don't get stopped out, but they would have served their purpose. So I'm not going to be very upset about it, to be completely honest. It is what it is. Again, one payout for me serves the purpose of an eval on a funded account. So. But we got a minute here. Looking strong. ES going for that push. See if we can get a big continuation candle here. Yes, my take profit is set super high because that's to recover pretty much my losses and then also recover to my daily goal. So we'll see what happens here. This will be an interesting next 15-minute candle. Again, the breakout on the bull flag would suggest big push, but they could come back down to 640 for a retest before going higher. Little rejection here at the end. Big rejection here at the end. Fighting right at my stop outs. So I got, looks like this count's still running. It looks like a couple of my accounts did get stopped out, blown there. Okay, so it looks like this account is the only one still running. Everybody else did unfortunately get tagged out there. So we did close over 640 there. ES did not get over 68.35 though. So today's one of those days. If you guys watched the full stream, obviously I was up quite a few different times today. However, you know, okay, so stopped out there. So unfortunately, that is all she wrote for those FNF accounts. You know, again, they 1,000% serve their purpose. I'm content. 2 payouts there is great. So we will attempt to. I'm not sure. Maybe I might just run the My Funded Futures for this week and just take another payout on Friday and just kind of do it that way. We'll see kind of what the market gives us here. Wouldn't mind going back in and getting some more evals on these FNF accounts, and then obviously starting back over fresh with the funded though. So we'll see kind of what the market gives. But obviously, you know, can't win them all on stream. We've had some really good streams. I've had a really good run in these accounts. So just unfortunately today I stopped out a little early on goals, and you can see, you know, if you were watching, there was a couple candles where if I didn't set an early protection, I would have hit my daily profit goal. But then there was a couple candles too where had I not set a protection, I would have got stopped out even earlier. So it just kind of is the name of the game. So, but all right, I will see you guys later. Probably start another stream on Wednesday most likely.